Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the 8 ways that the partners of the PMDD sufferers cause them to not have peace in PMDD. I am really excited to do this episode because I hear this is probably my number one complaint that I have with every private client that I have ever counseled, had private sessions with. And it's always, I just want peace. I just want peace. I just want peace. This is what the PMDD sufferer is saying. And they're alluding to the fact that their partner is causing them to not be able to have peace. So this is not one of the number one reasons for the PMDD monthly breakups is because you feel like in order to have peace in your relationship, you need to not be with your partner. You need to not be in the relationship. And that could not be furthest from the truth. However, I'm going to show you the 8 different ways that the PMDD partners are contributing to the lack of peace in the PMDD relationship. Because what I've learned from counseling a lot of partners is that they don't know what they're doing to not cause the PMDD sufferer to suffer. A lot of times it's subconscious. It's not anything that they're actually doing on purpose. And they're actually annoyed and frustrated by the fact that their partner keeps saying that they want peace. And they're alluding to the fact that they're doing something on purpose to cause them to not have peace. And so what I'm going to do today is tell you the ways that you may be contributing to your partner not having peace in the relationship. But the number one thing I want you to remember is I do not think it's intentional. I do not think that you're doing something on purpose. I do not think that you're out there choosing to be with someone who's suffering with PMDD and causing them to have more suffering or even taking away the peace that they may have in PMDD. So the first reason why PMDD sufferers want peace so much is because PMDD tortures your mind. It literally tortures the number one thing that you carry around you all the time. I say it right now, I'm recovering from a herniated disc injury. I'm practically on bed rest and then walking and then back on bed rest. But I'm out of the country right now because I already had this trip planned. And I thought it was so important that I do this episode while I'm here in Cabo, St. Lucas, Mexico. And I'm staying at this beautiful 5-star resort, and I sit out at the balcony every single morning. I've been here for a couple of days, and I'm looking out at the ocean, and I'm looking out at, people riding the horses on the beach and just swimming in the little pools. There's multiple pools and lazy rivers and hot tubs, and I'm here with my daughter, and it brings me so much peace. Every morning I've woken up with peace, and I am deep in PMDD. I'm actually on day 10 today. And that's normally unheard of. It's normally unheard of that I have any level of peace this late in PMDD. As you get closer to your cycle, your symptoms increase. But I've actually been taking note, okay, what is causing me to have peace? So the first thing that I want you to do if you're taking notes or if you would listen to this later, the first thing I want you to do is think about the last time you've had peace regardless. I don't want you to label it with PMDD. I want you to just think about the last time you felt peace because it honestly looks different for everyone. Every one of my clients experience peace a different way. So I want you to take PMDD out of it, take your partner out of it, and just think about when is the last time you have experienced peace. So many times when we're in PMDD, we keep saying we want it, but we don't even take the time to realize what that looks like for us. And by the time you get into PMDD, it's really hard to describe. It's like, I just want peace. It's like, well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. I just want peace. And you kind of are like, this isn't it. So I want you to really think about that. What, and write it down because I want you to remember what it is that is causing you to feel peace. And I did this exercise and I do it a lot with my private clients. And I was like, what are the things that bring me peace? I don't want you to number it. I don't want you to say, what are the top 10 things that bring me peace? Because you may have five, or you may have four, or you may have 20. Just whenever you think about you being at peace, not with your kids, not with your partner, just you. And I know for me, I'll take you down my list, because that's really important to build the foundation of you having peace in PMDD. And I know traveling brings me peace, warm weather, specifically warm weather. Good vibes, positive energy. This is why I love seeing people on vacation because I love seeing them happy. I love seeing them carefree. I've said this before. I'm an Enneagram 7. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm a free spirit. I love seeing people just enjoy life. Um, the next thing is moving my body and exercising. One of the hardest things about having this injury is I was told I could not exercise. Once the MRI came and it said I had a herniated disc, I'm supposed to be resting, and everything that's pressing on my lower back and going down my spine, and also the numbness and tingling on my left leg. The neurosurgeon says if I don't rest, then they're going to have to do surgery to repair that disc that herniated. And I got this while I was exercising. I was actually taking I was doing some training and I did a deadlift. And when I stood up, I heard a pop. And I remember trying to walk it off and finish the event. And experiencing the most excruciating physical pain I've ever experienced outside of childbirth. Matter of fact, I was leaning over and like breathing through the pain as if I was like having contractions because it hit the nerve. So when my disc herniated, it pressed literally against the nerve on my left hand side of my leg. And I I drove myself to the emergency room. I couldn't believe I did this, but I had, other people doing training, and I didn't want to interrupt their training. And so I said, I'll just drive myself. While I was driving myself, my left leg literally went numb. Luckily, it was my left leg and not my right because I was driving with my right leg, but it literally went numb. Could not feel anything. Had to get to the emergency room, get in the wheelchair, get in the gurney, go back for x-rays, MRIs, all of these things. So exercise was off the table and I was in excruciating pain. I was there for a couple days. But being that I knew that exercising and moving my body allowed me to have peace and that was taken away from me, I started to have to go back to the drawing board. It really messed with my head. So what I want to tell you is if you have something in your relationship that is taking away something that causes you to have peace, this is when you start to look at your partner like they're the enemy. Okay. So for me, earlier in my journey, it was my PMDD partner's morning routine. If my partners, any partner I've ever had, if they interrupted my morning routine when I was trying to center myself, have my time alone with God, just journal out my thoughts, get the negative emotions out. When that got interrupted, I immediately began to see my partners as the enemy because they were taking something away. So I want you to really think about what has your partner taken away that's been sacred to you? Is it your morning routine, your evening routine? Is it something that you didn't even notice that you do on a daily basis that causes you to have peace and you haven't communicated that? So what I want you to do is when you recognize what the thing is, for me, it was moving my body and exercising. I needed that time alone to do that. That was also my time alone with God. I really had my headphones on. I listened to worship music. I prayed. I cried. I needed that time and I didn't need it to be split between me and someone else. And I was so much better for my partner once I had that time. But if that time was interrupted, by my partner, even in a loving way, it causes me to have a lot of bitterness and resentment because that I needed that time in order to have peace. So I want you to really think about what that thing is. Is it maybe you sit around and you watch Netflix and you watch a show, or you go on a walk, or you go get your nails done, or you want to go to the grocery store? There's something that you do that causes you to have peace. I even have a client that loves to go to Marshalls and TJ Maxx, and these are stores in the US. You may have stores that you just want to go around the stores and just like look at things and just get your coffee, look around the store, and just let that be your me time. I want you to communicate that to your partner, how important it is that you have this time. And if you're the partner that's listening to this, do not interrupt your partner's me time when they're in PMDD. Please, 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 because the reaction that you're going to get is not going to be the reaction that you want to receive. You may be going towards your partner, you want to get love and you want to get affection and you want to get attention, and they're telling you that they need some me time. Don't interrupt them. Do not time them and ask them, how much longer are you going to be? When are you going to be back? Let them come to you, because if they feel like you're sitting there waiting for them to get finished with having their me time that causes them to have peace, it's not going to allow them to have peace because they're going to feel like they're constantly experiencing this pressure to rush through the process. Your partner who is suffering with PMDD will really get through the process of whatever that peaceful activity is a lot quicker if they weren't being interrupted and disturbed during that process. This is when you have to be very selfless. You have to kind of take your emotions off of the table, take your feelings off of the table of wanting to get your needs met. I understand what it's like. You want the affection, you want the attention, you want the validation, you want your partner to pay attention to you. But again, the reaction that you're going to get if you're not allowing them to get that piece first is they're going to avoid you. They're going to avoid you or they're going to attack you. It's that fight or flight. Subconsciously, their mind is trying to protect anything that's causing them to have peace. And when you try to take it away, now they're seeing you as the enemy. So a lot of times when they're fighting with you and they're arguing with you and they're saying, I just want peace, I just want peace, it's because you're not allowing them to do some of the things that cause them to have peace, or you're not supporting them doing it. I know one of the biggest things for me is being able to know what my PMDD partner's morning routine looks like and communicating to that to anybody that's in my life, honestly. Anybody that's in my life is aware of my morning routine. I mean, friends, family, everybody knows. When I'm in the morning and I have this 60 to 90 minutes, my phone is on do not disturb, and I'm doing what I can to experience peace, specifically while I'm in PMDD. I do it every day, but I really, really, really make sure that I do it when I'm in PMDD because I wake up with suffering a lot of times. Most times when I'm in PMDD, a lot of it has been overthinking, a lot of it has been insecurities, a lot of it has been just the questions, the what ifs, the intrusive thoughts. And I know these are outside things that PMDD is causing me to have. And this is what I was speaking to a client earlier this week, and she was pretty much like, I wish there was a pill that we could take for PMDD. And so I said, well, what is the symptom that you want, if you could develop a pill or have a pill or take a pill, what is the symptom that causes you the most suffering? And she was like, oh, intrusive thoughts. If I could just have a pill that takes away the intrusive thoughts. And I was like, well, that's in your mind. Intrusive thoughts are in your mind. PMDD messes with your mind. So there's no pill that is going to take away your intrusive thoughts. There are pills that are going to allow you to be numb and to have pretty much no thoughts. I know that that's possible, but two things that I use for my clients with intrusive thoughts, cognitive behavioral therapy and which is rewiring your PMDD brain, and then talk therapy. You got to talk it out. You have to talk it out with someone that understands the suffering that you're going through and that can help you rewire it. And sometimes it is just, and it's not venting it to someone and just complaining and saying, oh, this is how I feel. This is what I'm doing in my suffering. It's okay. You're telling it to someone that is actually going to give you tools and something to do about it. Talk therapy really doesn't work well with PMDD suffers if it's just met with listening ears. Like we actually need to develop a plan because the plan, the actionable steps, that's the thing that's going to give you the confidence. That's the thing that's going to reduce the helplessness and the hopelessness that you have with the intrusive thoughts that you're having in PMDD. This is why a lot of times when you're going on a lot of these forums and you're just talking about your suffering, sometimes you're not experiencing the amount of relief that you think you would. It's because there's not tools that are accompanied through them. So I believe that we should all have an outlet to talk about whatever it is that we're suffering with in PMDD, but we also need tools. We also need actionable things at the end of it, because if we don't have that, we're just left in this hopeless place where we're just desperate for something to just take it away. So when you're wanting to have peace in PMDD, a lot of times you're wanting to calm down those intrusive thoughts. You're wanting to wash them away. Like I'm looking at the ocean right now, and you're probably wanting to have all those thoughts be rolled up on the sand and just wash them away. So that's another thing that causes me to have a lot of peace in PMDD is the good views, like looking at oceans, looking at mountains. I was in Lake Tahoe a couple of weeks ago. So I will take a lot of my vacations while I'm in PMDD, but I have to let any partners that I have know that when I'm on these vacations, when I'm in PMDD, I might not be as lively, as bubbly, as all over the place that I am when I'm in my follicular days when I go on vacation, because I'm trying to get to that place of peace. So what it looks like a lot of times is me sitting on the balcony and just looking out at the waves and looking out at the ocean, or taking a walk on the beach, or not speaking a lot. I notice when I go into PMDD, I don't talk a lot. And it used to be taken in past relationships as a form of like punishment because I wasn't speaking, or make it seem like I was doing something on purpose, when in reality, I am that person that believes words have power. You know, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I'm very mindful of the words that I'm speaking. So if I'm in PMDD and I have a lot of negative thoughts in my mind, if I am in PMDD and I have a lot of negative scenarios running through my brain, I'm not speaking a lot because I don't want to project that on anyone else. I don't want to let any of that negativity pour out. It's kind of like having all this negativity in a jar. I'm not wanting to pour it out. So I'm kind of keeping it sealed. You know, I'm processing it because I do a lot of writing to get it out, but I'm very careful about what I speak because I know that when I speak something, my subconscious mind, my body starts to feel the emotions of the words that I'm speaking. Once my body feels those emotions, that's when I react to those emotions based off of what I've spoken out of my mouth. So a lot of times, if you're complaining, have you ever noticed when you're complaining to someone about your PMDD, or you're complaining about something, how you can literally get more angry, get more upset, get more PMDD rage from speaking out a lot of the hurts that you have, a lot of the hurtful words that your partner has said, a lot of the hurtful things that your partner has done, and you start to react to them differently because you feel like you're back in that moment. And that's when you feel that rage. So I'm very careful because when you allow someone to speak that out, you have to have somewhere to put it. So when I have my private sessions and we're saying all these negative things to just get them out, I always redirect those negative emotions and those negative thoughts to somewhere else so that you don't just stay with them, so you don't stay stuck with them. I say, okay, let's talk about how you're genuinely feeling, what you're genuinely thinking your partner is thinking, and then let's do something with that. Because if I just leave my clients with that, they're going to be looking at themselves with the side eye after the session. And so one of the things that also bring me peace is, sleep. I have slept 9 or 10 hours since I've been here in Cabo, and I have this sleep app. Then it really just monitors how much sleep I get. Well, before I was here, when I was home, I wasn't getting that amount of sleep. Absolutely not. Number one, I was in pain because I have to sleep in a very weird position. It's almost like because I have this herniated disc, nothing was comfortable. So laying on my side wasn't comfortable, laying on my back wasn't comfortable. I actually thought about getting one of those. Korean, I think I ordered it off of Amazon. One of those Korean beds where you lay on the floor. One of my friends told me about it. They're from India and they're like, oh yeah, you should just lay on the floor. It's good for your back. But sleep is very important for me. When I'm fully rested, like the last couple of nights, I experience so much peace. I actually sent a voice memo to one of my best friends, and I was just like, yeah, I'm up and I feel so good and I feel so at peace. And she's like, every single time you get a lot of sleep, you sound like you're on something, like you're on some kind of drug, like you're high. And I'm like, no, but I feel like euphoric. I feel refreshed. I feel like I can take on the day or take on whatever PMDD throws at me. So this is what happens when you're in PMDD and you're in, but you're at peace, you can handle your symptoms a lot more. When you are in PMDD and you have peace, you can endure your symptoms a lot more. I can take a lot more when I'm fully rested. When I have a lack of sleep, when I have sleep deprivation, um, insomnia, hypersomnia, all of that, I feel like I'm being tortured. Lack of sleep is something that they actually used to use back in the day for torture. And so if you think about if you have lack of sleep in conjunction with intrusive thoughts, meaning you're exhausted, all of your defenses are down, and then you're faced with these intrusive thoughts, you can't really fight them off. You can't really challenge them. You don't have the energy. It's almost like you allow those intrusive thoughts to win because you don't have the energy to do anything other than just sit there and suffer. How many times have you been in PMDD and you just lay there in suffering? And you're crying immensely and you're feeling helpless and you're feeling like, I just want this to stop. I would do anything to make this stop. I've been there so many times. It's just like, just somebody tell me what to do. I can't, especially when I normally get like that, or I used to get like that around day 7. And then what would happen is I would think about how many more days of PMDD I have and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm only on day 7 and I have 7 more days of this. So the next thing I do to that brings me peace when I'm at PMDD is I check my heart. And I know you're probably like, what are you talking about, Dr. Rose? This is very important. This is a very important part of my PMDD partner's morning routine. And I strongly suggest you do this specifically for your PMDD relationships. No bitterness. My 3 rules, my 3 rules for when I check my heart and what I mean by this, you're going to understand. No bitterness, no resentment, and no unforgiveness. Those are my 3 non-negotiables. If I wake up in the morning and I have bitterness and I have resentment and I have unforgiveness towards any partner that I have, I immediately get rid of it before I react to it. And this is one of the things that saves me from going off on PMDD rage, saves me from breaking down in a feeling of depression with my partner, saves me from doing any damage in any PMDD relationship I'm in. You got to get rid of the bitterness. You got to get rid of the resentment and you got to get rid of any unforgiveness. And here's the thing, it's a daily process. And let me tell you why it's a daily process. Because when you have PMDD, you're continuously remembering things that your PMDD partner has said and done in the past. It's very cyclical. So even if yesterday you got rid of the bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness, you could wake up the next day and remember it all over again. How many times does that happen to you where you thought you were over it? And even your partner may say this. I've heard clients say this all the time on private sessions. I thought we were over this. I thought we're done. I can't believe we're talking about this again. You're probably talking about it again because PMDD plays it on repeat. Once PMDD recognizes that something causes you to suffer, it hones in on that. PMDD is very smart and it's very individualistic. For me, it's hurtful words. That is my Achilles heel, right? PMDD knows that hurtful words are the thing that causes me to suffer the most. So what does it do? I wake up in the morning and it reminds me of all the hurtful things that my partner has said or done automatically because it knows it's going to cause me suffering. For somebody else, I have clients where you could say anything you want about them and they could care less, but you rob them of affection, attention, closeness, intimacy, and they're going to suffer. If you rob me of that, I'll figure it out. I'll just keep myself busy and do something else. Like it doesn't hit me as hard. I don't really have that much rejection sensitivity towards a partner, like shutting me down. I don't know if it's because a lot of my relationships have been long distance, so I've lived in this sense of deprivation for intimacy, which I recently learned is a thing. So if if you don't have sex with me, if you don't hug me, if you don't kiss me, if you don't like it, it bothers me, but I'm not gonna like slide down a wall in agony. But you say hurtful words, I'm definitely sliding down a wall in agony. You see the difference? This is all about you being self-aware to know what makes you tick. What makes you tick? We have a program, me and a friend of mine, Amy, who's also PMDD. She's a PMDD coach with yoga and healing and all of that. And we're doing a series, an 8-week series on dating and PMDD. And I'm super excited to do this because a lot of this stuff comes up. A lot of what I'm talking about comes up when you're dating. For some reason, when you go to date, PMDD has a way of taking your peace away from this whole process. I've heard a lot of clients come to me and say, I don't even want to date because it's so stressful, it's so overwhelming. And every single time I go into PMDD, it seems like it attacks the dating process. So it's 8 weeks. We're going to go over different topics every single week. I'm gonna put the link here in my bio. If you're on my email list, you should have gotten the flyer. If you want information about it, DM me on Instagram, in love with PMDD, or you can email me Rose at in love with PMDD. But during this 8 weeks, we're going to be talking about discovering your why of even wanting to date. Why do you even want to date? Why do you want a partner? Right? Because whenever times get really, really hard, you really have to remember why do I want this? Why do I even want to be in a relationship? Week 2 is going to be what makes a good supportive PMDD partner. We are always hearing all the time, I just want a supportive PMDD partner. I just want a supportive PMDD partner. For the partners that want to join this program, this would actually be perfect for you. Even if you're in a relationship, I'm going to show you exactly what a supportive PMDD partner looks like. Okay. We're going to talk about boundaries with communicating your needs for both of you. A lot of times you have unmet needs. Every single time your partner goes into PMDD, every single time you go into PMDD, your partner is not meeting specific needs. And this is what's causing you to not have peace in your relationship. I'm going to be talking to you about how to really give them the blueprint, what exactly you're going to say to your partner to get your needs met while you're in PMDD. That's for the partner that has PMDD and the partner that doesn't. We are going to be talking week 4. I'm really excited about because we're talking about attachment styles. I get so many questions about this. I'm going to be talking about PMDD attachment styles, how you have a different attachment style in your luteal phase than when you're in your follicular days and even in ovulation and menstruation. I'm going to be talking about week 5 is going to be intrusive thoughts when you're dating, when you're texting, when you're going through that text phase. Should I send a text? Should I not send a text? What should I text? How soon should I tell, the person that I have PMDD? Do I just say, hi, my name is Rose and I have PMDD? Or when do I do that? I'm going to be giving you the blueprint of exactly when you tell your partner that you have PMDD and what exactly you say so that you don't scare them away. Week 6 is going to be dating through each phase of your cycle. Every single phase of your menstrual cycle requires a different level of dating with PMDD, different things that you should do, different things that you should not do. I'm going to be giving you the do's and don'ts. Week 7 is going to be how dating affects your PMDD symptoms. This one is really, really huge because when you're in PMDD and you start to date, some of your symptoms are going to get exacerbated. They're going to get magnified. They're going to get bigger. They're going to get louder. And I'm going to just show you what's happening. So you're not experiencing it thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. And just thinking I should just stop dating, right? So many times when we don't have the tools, which is why we want to break up. When you don't have the tools, you think the only way that I can get peace is to just break up. And then the last week is going to be week 8, where I'm going to be talking to you about how to detach yourself from the PMDD dating process and just have fun, just enjoy experiencing a new partner. Just enjoy if you're in a relationship, just enjoy your partner. But it's almost like, how can I do that? How can this be a peaceful, positive experience if I'm suffering in PMDD? So if you've not joined, make sure you join. We start May the 1st. And so you're gonna get access to the replays. We're gonna have worksheets for every single session. It's gonna be live, but you can watch the recording whenever you want. I know we have people. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited. People listening to the podcast in over 60 countries right now. I'm so grateful. I'm so honored, but I know that it's probably impossible to find a time that works for everybody. So the replays will be available for you. But let's really get into what partners may be doing to take away the peace, to disrupt the peace from the PMDD sufferers. Okay. Again, I want to preface, you're probably not doing this on purpose. 9 times out of 10, you're not doing this on purpose. So I don't want you to get offended. I don't want you to get feel like, oh, I guess I'm just, a piece of crap, or I don't want you to beat yourself up. And if you're the sufferer, I don't want you beating your partner up and saying, see, look what you're doing, look what you're doing. No, this is not about blaming. This is about providing awareness and tools so we can move forward. And if it's something that I'm telling you right now that you're seeing this or you're hearing this and you're like, yeah, that's me, Dr. Rose. Like I do that. I can help you with tools. So I don't want you to feel like you're a lost cause or you should be with a different partner or anything like that. This doesn't mean that you're going to break up. So the first thing is if you're the partner and you have a dismissive attitude towards the PMDD sufferer's symptoms, you're undermining their experience. And you really are saying, oh, is it really that bad? Or, oh, you're in PMDD again. Or, oh, you always do this when you're in PMDD. Oh, here we go again. Another month of being treated like crap. Okay, when you're dismissing the suffering that your partner is going through, you're taking away their peace because you're not validating your partner's experience. I need you to avoid minimizing their feelings, avoid minimizing their emotions. And I know that this is so hard because PMDD is so cyclical. And so you feel like it's on repeat. And before you know it, you're back in PMDD and you're dealing with the same thing again and again and again. So the familiarity of the suffering can cause you to minimize the symptoms. Because you hear them all the time, because you see them all the time, it almost can make you feel like they're not suffering as much as they are because it's like, here we go again. And if their suffering causes you to not have your needs met, partners, then this is why you're minimizing it. Because in your mind, you're not saying, oh my goodness, here we go again. My partner's about to suffer. You're thinking, here we go again. I'm not going to get the affection that I want. I'm not going to get the attention that I want. I'm not going to get the bubbly, happy go lucky partner that I want. I'm going to get the sad, depressed PMDD sufferer. And I don't like it. I want you to be able to separate the two. You don't like PMDD. You love your partner. You like your partner. You don't love PMDD. PMDD causes them to suffer. So I want you to separate the two. Don't treat your partner as if they're doing this on purpose. I promise you, if we could just wave a magic wand and take this away, we would not voluntarily be suffering with PMDD just to cause you to suffer as a partner. No one cares about your suffering that much. I understand that you may be suffering as a result of us going into PMDD, but it's not intentional. I promise you. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that a lot of partners believe that individuals who are suffering with PMDD use it to have a get out of jail free card for treating them like crap. I've had a lot of partners say to me, I don't even think my partner really likes me. I don't think they really love me. I think they're genuinely just trying to cause me to suffer. They're just here to cause me to suffer even more. That's how hurt they feel from. But again, those comments come from unmet needs. Okay, so the next thing that partners will do, intentionally or unintentionally, that take away the peace from the PMDD sufferer is having a lack of empathy. We talked about this before with the narcissist who has a propensity to not have empathy with pretty much a lot of the suffering that you can go through in PMDD. They don't empathize with the ups and downs of PMDD, of all of the things. And it really leads to a lot of misunderstanding and fights, PMDD fights and arguments, because I'm telling you I'm suffering, but you're just wondering why I'm not meeting your needs. So I want you as the partner to listen, validate your partner's feelings and emotions, right? And offer empathy and support. Obviously, you don't know what it feels like to have PMDD, But I want, so it's really hard for you to connect with that. But I want you to just imagine, for me, it was so much easier for me to translate suffering with my physical injury of having this herniated disc. A lot of times I ask, partners, have you ever had an injury? Have you ever had a sickness? Have you ever had an illness that literally caused you to suffer? I need you to imagine that the PMDD sufferer is going through that level of pain and agony. I know we don't look like it. A lot of times we don't look like we're going through the suffering that we're actually going through. We may look like we're fine because we're fully functional. We've been living with this for a while, so it's almost like we're just functioning through the suffering. So it may be hard a lot of times for us to get empathy because you can't physically see the suffering. For me, with this with this herniated disc, I was limping. I could barely walk because I couldn't really put any weight on my left leg because number one, it was numb and I had like only like numbness and tingling. So I was limping so everyone could see that I had a disability. Everyone could see that there was something wrong with me, a disability. It's not being able to do something. PMDD is a disability. It's not being able to do something. But if we're in a place where we're doing everything, right? So this is on the realm of the PMDD sufferer. I want you to stop trying to do everything because you make it really, really hard for your partner to help you. And I know this was hard for me because I was that person. It's like, I can do everything. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Well, if you feel like you're always saying you'll do it, your partner's going to believe you and stop offering to help. If every single time your partner tries to help, you tell them that they're doing it wrong, they're going to stop doing it. And then it's really going to be wrong because then you're going to be like, oh, they're not even doing anything and they're watching me suffer and they're not doing anything. Well, which one is it? Do you want them to attempt to help you? Or are you just going to criticize them so that they take their hands off and do nothing? So the next way that a PMDD partner may be taking away the peace of the PMDD sufferer is you're not validating their experiences. You may be yelling at them, just snap out of it. Just snap. If you just pretend that you don't have PMDD, I've had partners say this to me in the past. If you just pretend that you don't have PMDD, maybe you really don't have it. Maybe it's all in your mind. Or stop overreacting. It can't be that bad. I mean, it can't be that bad. You go through this every single month and you're suffering this bad. Like, come on. I just saw you do this. I just saw you do that. You can't be suffering through it that bad. Or you were just fine a day ago. What's wrong with you now? When you make comments like that, you're taking away the PMDD sufferer's peace because they're sitting there feeling like you don't get them. You will not have peace in your relationship if you feel like your partner doesn't get you. I remember feeling like this so often. It's like, if I'm supposed to be the closest person to you, if you're supposed to be the closest person to me, how do you not see my suffering? We're supposed to be so in tune, so interlinked, so intertwined, all of these things. I spend the most time with you and you don't even believe that I'm really suffering. You really believe that I'm the type of person that would lie to you. For me, attacks on character is a very big trigger. If you tell me that I've had partners say like with the days, oh, it's the 20th of the month. You're not supposed to be in PMDD on the 20th. Well, it shifts, okay? Like it literally shifts. So next year it might be the 5th of the month. I have no idea. Maybe ask Amy when you join the dating with PMDD program. It's called Dating and PMDD because she's into all of the moon and the cycles. And I don't know why the dates shift, okay? But they do. And so I don't want you to think that your partner is genuinely lying to you about the date that they're in PMDD. And I know you're thinking like, who would do that? It happens all the time where it's like, I know she's lying about being in PMDD. Really? Is she? Or is she really just suffering? Like, no one has time for that. No one has time for that. That means you have trust issues. You don't trust your partner. And that's a deeper issue that we need to work on. Um, This one is a big one. Number four is a big one. And I'm just want just stop what you're doing and really listen to number four. If you don't, if as a partner, if you don't listen to any of the other seven of these, I want you to listen to number four. And that is when you put pressure on the PMDD sufferer to fix them, you're trying to fix them like they're a broken toy. You're taking away their peace because it's going to lead to frustration and tension If they're not able to find a solution, if the things that you're suggesting are not working, and then you go back to the drawing board and you say, well, try this and try this and try this, you're treating them like a little rag doll that you're experimenting on. Instead of trying to fix the PMDD sufferer, focus on providing them with emotional support, with understanding and encouragement for whatever they're doing that's working for them. It is not your job to fix your PMDD sufferer. I'm going to repeat that. It is not your job as the partner to fix the PMDD sufferer. It is not your job to educate yourself for the purpose of forcing them to do all of these things that may or may not work for them. When the PMDD sufferer starts to feel that pressure, it leads to tension, it leads to frustration. They feel broken. You don't want to be with someone who looks at you like you're broken. A lot of times they don't need you to fix them. They're already researching all of the things themselves, believe it or not. Everyone who has PMDD has done their research, and there's not a lot of research out there. So you're probably researching the same thing, but they're all doing it. And so they don't need you to come in there and say that they're doing it wrong or saying, hey, try another thing. Just encourage them on what it is that they find. And then the next way, so this is what I want you to do as the partner. Instead of trying to fix them, I want you to educate yourself on PMDD because your lack of education about PMDD, it's going to lead to misunderstandings, miscommunications. It's going to lead to accusations. It's going to lead to all of these things. So as the partner, your job is to educate yourself about PMDD. A great place to start with that would be the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. Every single month, you get a new course on a different topic with PMDD. So when the partners come to me and say, what is it that I can do? I always recommend the Breakup Proof Academy because the way that it's structured now, last year it was structured where I was going live every single week and teaching topics and having Q&As. This year, in 2024, it is you will get a new course emailed to you with a workbook that you can learn about PMDD. It's all science-based, it's all research-based, it's all tools that actually work for different parts of PMDD. We're talking intrusive thoughts, we're talking attachment styles, all of these things that you can learn. And I give you the video modules and also the workbooks for that. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you join. I'll put it in the show notes, the Breakup Proof Academy. The 2024 version I've noticed has worked a lot better. And I do want to let you know if you are part of the Breakup Proof Academy, meaning you have the course, you're paying for the membership, then if you want to have private sessions with me, those private sessions are discounted so that you can pair them together. Because a lot of times when you're looking at the modules and the trainings within the Breakup Proof Academy, you have questions about how to apply them to your actual relationship. So when you have the private sessions, you can ask those questions to me and I can teach you how to apply those tools to your PMDD relationship. So if you're interested in that packet, then I'll put the link in the show notes here, or you can DM me on Instagram, in love with PMDD, or rose at inlovewithpmdd.com. But as the partner, educate yourself, please. Just educate yourself about the symptoms, read my dissertation. It's 160 some pages of things that really have to do with the partners and your experience. So the next way that partners can take away peace from PMDD sufferers is ignoring boundaries. I've seen this so many times where if you're wanting your personal space, like we talked about earlier, you're wanting your me time, and the partner is just ignoring the boundary. It can lead to a lot of PMDD fights and a PMDD rage. That used to happen to me all the time where I would be in the middle of my morning routine and get interrupted, and you're in such a fragile and vulnerable place because remember, you haven't emptied out any negativity yet. You're already feeling on edge. You're already feeling, in that fight or flight mode. And guess what happens when you're interrupted and those boundaries are ignored? You're in the fight mode. And the fight mode means PMDD rage. And then you feel guilty about it afterwards. But all of that can be avoided if you have very clear boundaries. And in order to have clear boundaries, you need to have clear communication. Clearly communicate to your partner what it is that you need. If you need alone time, you need space to cope with your symptoms, um, let them know how long approximately. If it's going to be a couple hours, just say, hey, babe, can you come check on me in a couple hours? If you just want to lay in the bed, but you don't want them to come in the room, you just want to lock yourself up in the room and just lay in the bed and not feel like you have to be a certain way for your partner. Because a lot of times partners will see you laying on the bed and maybe they'll come and lay with you. And then it's kind of like, okay, that's fine if they're laying with me. Then they may want to start talking to you. And then they may start asking you things that you don't have the capacity to answer. Then you may feel like I might as well just get up. Like this is no longer relaxing. I don't have the bandwidth. Like, okay. And it's almost like you feel like they were doing it maliciously and on purpose because you were in a place of trying to find peace. And they came in like they were like respecting your boundaries, like, babe, I'm just gonna lay here. I'm not gonna do anything. I just want to lay beside you. I just want to be close to you. But then they get close to you and then they want more. And then they want to touch you. And then they want to be intimate with you. And all of this started from, again, innocence. Your partner just wants to be loved. Your partner just wants attention. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're a partner and you're listening, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying if the PMDD sufferer has given you a clear boundary that I cannot be bothered right now because I'm suffering in PMDD, do not push that boundary because the response that you're going to get is going to be very hurtful. And a lot of times when I hear on private sessions about, oh, my partner said this hurtful to me and they said this, was there a boundary that was breached by either side? I will always ask that question. Well, yeah, they said that they needed some alone time, but I just, okay, then that's why you got the response that you got. That's why you got the response that you got. Listen to your partner's boundaries. If you're the partner that doesn't have PMDD and you have boundaries, and I've had it where it's like, hey, I don't want to take vacation with you while you're in PMDD. Okay. Do I like it? Do I want to experience vacation with you? Absolutely. But if that's your boundary, I get it. Because it's hard for the partner to see you and to not fully be able to experience you in a way that feels good to them. It's very hard for them to see a different version of you every single month. I get it. So if they put a clear boundary and it's like, listen, I don't want to go on this trip with you, or I don't want to go to the movies with you. I know we have this date planned, but I know you're in PMDD. I know you're not really going to be up to it. I would rather just stay at home, or maybe I'm just going to go spend time with my friends or whatever. Here's the thing. If your partner who doesn't have PMDD says that they want to go hang out with their friends, they want to go do something that is going to cause them to have joy, and you have a problem with it, you need to stop it. That is a very selfish mentality to think that you're in a place of suffering and your partner has to stay in that place of suffering with you. Allow your partner to go out and have fun. Allow them to enjoy life. They're going to be way more supportive towards you than if they were sitting in the house being bitter and resentful to the fact that they can't do anything. It's like you don't have the energy to do anything. So why are you stopping them? Because of your insecurities, because of your intrusive thoughts when you're in PMDD? That's a you thing. When I get like that, I understand that's a me thing. That's something I have to manage. I have to navigate. I cannot put that on a partner. I cannot put it on a partner to stop their life because I'm suffering in PMDD. That's not what they signed up for, and that's not a real relationship. And so you're wondering where you get to these moments and you feel like maybe the other partner feels like, I don't know how much longer I can take this because you're draining them. Instead of looking at the situation and saying, you know what? I'm really suffering right now in PMDD. I know my partner, there's nothing that they can genuinely do. So I'm not going to force them to be here. And I would tell a partner, hey, you want to go out with friends or you want to go do this? That's because I love the person and I want them to be genuinely happy. Them suffering, my partner's suffering doesn't make me feel any better about my own suffering. It almost makes me feel guilty. Trust. You need to have trust within your relationship. This is what interdependence is. It's a codependent relationship where you're saying the only way that I trust them is if I could see them. My dad used to say something about people, and he used to be, I only trust them as far as I could throw them. If you only trust your partner when they're in front of you, if you're checking their phone because you're insecure and PMDD, that's a you problem. You need to manage that because your partner may not have even done anything to cause you to not have trust in them. So you're taking away each other's peace at this point. They can't go anywhere. You won't let them go anywhere. You don't want to do nothing, so they can't do nothing. Set boundaries and allow your PMDD partner to enjoy their life while you're suffering, and then do what you need to do to cope with your suffering. So the next way that a partner can take away, the sufferer's peace is taking symptoms personally. I have seen this so many times where PMDD sufferers are literally suffering in PMDD and the partner feels like it's their fault. Partners may inadvertently take the sufferer's symptoms personally, leading to feelings of rejection and resentment. Like I'm suffering, my partner sees me suffering, and they're saying, "Oh, so what did I do now? I guess I'm just the bad guy." Oh, this is a very narcissistic tendency. Because guess what? It's not about you, partners. It's not about you. My PMDD symptoms, just like I said earlier in the earlier tool, it's my job to manage and navigate with my symptoms. That means if I have symptoms, they have everything to do with me and my abnormal hormonal fluctuations or whatever it is. That has to do with me. Your hormones aren't fluctuating and causing you to have this quote unquote allergic reaction. You may not even have a cycle. So if I'm telling you I'm suffering, I'm not calling you the bad guy. If I'm in PMDD and I am saying that I am suffering, I am not calling you the bad guy. I am not saying that you are the cause of my PMDD. I'm not saying if I wasn't with you. Listen, I've always said this. Being single is not a cure for PMDD. It's not a cure. Getting rid of your partner is not going to get rid of your PMDD. I have many, many, many single clients. Many, many, many single clients that are suffering. Is that like a badge of honor? Like clap it up? No. But it's just letting you know getting rid of your partner is not going to mean that you're going to suffer less. So if you're the partner, if your partner's suffering, it's not your fault. If you can't cure them, if you can't fix them, it's not your fault. Stop taking it personally. And I understand that a lot of times when your partner is in PMDD, they're causing you to suffer a lot. I get it. They may be taking away affection. They may be stonewalling you and shutting down and being very robotic. I used to do that. What did my partner used to call it? Staring into the abyss. Like I do a lot of staring when I'm in PMDD. Like just looking out the window, looking at nature. I'm trying to like regulate my intrusive thoughts and my emotions at that time. But whenever I would get like that, partners would be like, "What's wrong with you? Is this something I did?" Like they're trying to pull me out of it, and I just want to stare. Let me stare. I just want to stare. I'm not staring because I'm avoiding you. I'm not staring because you're annoying me. I mean, you keep asking me why I'm staring. Yeah, now you're annoying me. Now you're taking away my peace. If my peace is staring outside the window, let me stare out the window. I'm not bothering you. If my peace is sitting in a bathtub until the water gets cold, listening to Adele, let me sit in the bathtub. You don't have to keep checking on me and knocking on the door. Are you almost done? You're going to catch a cold. Let me be. Let your partner be because they're trying to get peace, whatever that looks like. And the last way that partners can take away peace from the PMDD sufferer is you're failing to seek help together. I've said this a couple of times before, but I'll say it again. If you're leaving your PMDD, the sufferer's symptoms untreated, it's going to cause you suffering in the relationship. What I mean by untreated, they're not going to therapy. They're not talking through anything. They're holding it all in. You're wondering why they seem so tense. You're wondering why they seem so on edge. You're wondering why they're suffering so much, why they can't get any peace, because they're trying to handle it all on their own. One of the best things that partners are able to do is book sessions for the PMDD sufferer and gift it to them. Don't have them have to worry about paying for it. You don't even have to worry about them having to schedule it. You know their schedule. I had a client do this past week and just booked 2 months worth of sessions and said, "Hey, I know she's off on these days at this time. Please invoice me. I want to schedule this time. I'll take care of the kids. I'll take care of dinner on these days. Can you please just help her?" That's how you can help. Put things in place that make her life easier instead of thinking that you're going to continue to leave it untreated and everything's going to just magically change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Complaining about how horrible you're suffering every month in PMDD or every month when your partner is going into PMDD doesn't make you suffer any less. It doesn't. You have to treat the PMDD. And the things that I specifically help with the most are some main categories that really, really impact PMDD relationships and the monthly breakups. And that is the PMDD rage, that irritability that they're feeling, those triggers, the intrusive thoughts that they're suffering with that is causing them to act differently towards you, and that you may be having intrusive thoughts, and the attachment styles. Those are my three specialties. They're in my dissertation, they're researched. And one of the last ones that I really, really help with that I try to navigate it before it gets to that point is the suicidal ideations, because there's a buildup to that. All those first three things being out of alignment, you're gonna get into that place. But I always try to work with clients before it gets to that point, okay? So, what I want you to take from all of this, and I really, really hope you were taking notes, and if you weren't taking notes, go back and listen again so you can take notes if you're the partner or if you're the sufferer who has PMDD. Having peace in PMDD is possible, but these are some of the ways that it's being taken away within your PMDD relationship. This does not mean that you need to break up. This does not mean that you need to have a different partner, but it does mean that you need to be aware about what causes you to have peace and what causes it to be taken away. Until next time, we got this. Love you. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.